It's live.
Guarding was like guarding.
Like bringing syrup to a coffee shop, Santo. We don't allow any outside syrups, jams, or jellies.
Was it IHOP?
Blueberry syrup.
Boysenberry. That's why I requested from Rico. New Orleans.
Huh? Who? Oh.
Right behind me.
I guess their budget is 10. Those three I would assume they would be.
Welcome to our press conference for the Clemson Georgia Tech game. Conference scheduled for 7:32 Thursday night. I want to thank Herb Thomas and Chick-fil-A of Seneca for providing our lunch today. As he was asked, the Louisville kickoff will be at 8 o'clock, televised on ABC, and going back to our normal time on the Southern Teleconference, it'll be at 6:30 or 7.
All right, I appreciate it, Tim. Excited to get started in ACC play this week and chase our next goal, and that's to try to win the division, which is what we're focused on. Definitely got a tough challenge. It's a difficult turnaround for us and for them, both teams, to get ready really in 3 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today is a Thursday practice for us, and we travel to Atlanta tomorrow. So been a crazy few days getting ready, but love how our team has handled it, how they've responded from a preparation standpoint. Georgia Tech is always an incredibly difficult team to prepare for each year, but even more so when you've got a short week to get ready. But again, I think had a great practice last night. These guys are dialed in and excited about starting conference play, excited about having to play our best game to this point. I know that's what it's going to take to have a chance to win this game. Their offense is very good, led by the quarterback. He's a 3-year starter that's knows all the nuances of this offense. He knows where all the crooks and crannies are. That's what you get with a veteran player, and he doesn't get enough credit for his ability to throw the football. I mean, you want to watch the tape and not see a good, accurate thrower, but that's not what you see. I mean, you turn the tape on, and he's making back shoulder throws. He's throwing. They had a 4th and 20 against Boston College at the end of the game, and he completes a seam route right down the middle, stops the receiver with the ball. Scored on the first play of the game against Vandy last week, 81-yard touchdown pass. He's a little bit more accurate than you'd like to see, as the opposing coach, to go along with all the other stuff that he does in running their system. So, very good football player, Justin is. I mean, just really, but I knew that when he was in high school down in Prattville. This is a great competitor that we have a lot of respect for. And then you mix in all the other pieces, number 2 and 83 down on the edges, and their guys in the backfield. They present a lot of challenges, and so it's going to be to me, the biggest challenge that we've had for our defense by far, and with the type of discipline that we'll have to play with to be able to do a good job against these guys. Their defense, the same thing. Experienced group up front in the front 7, got 3 of their 4 starters back. I think the one guy, I believe 96, got drafted from last year, but 3 of those other guys are back. 2 of the backers are back, so experienced group for Ted, and the DBs. They did lose their starting secondary, but they're not starting over with freshmen. I mean, they're all, you know, juniors and seniors, and I think one sophomore in there. So they've got some experience, not just guys that are freshmen starting out for them. So but that is definitely the one area where they lost the majority of their starters. But a good group, got their punter back, kicker back, and you know, the biggest thing when playing Georgia Tech, and really each and every week, is, you know, you got to try to find a way to win that turnover battle. And you know, by nature of what they do, they kind of minimize and cut down on some of your possessions that you have offensively anyway. So you can't give them extra possessions, and then the field position battle, critical when you're playing these guys. So looking forward to it. Proud of our team for being 3-0. That's obviously where we wanted to be right now, and I think we've improved in a lot of areas over the course of the first 3 ball games. We've had to go on the road into a tough environment and win. We've had to win where maybe we didn't play quite as well in certain areas. We've had some big moments in special teams. We've had some adversity along the way. So I think a lot of things have happened in our first 3 ball games that I think it put us in a good spot from a mentality standpoint, an opportunity to coach and teach these guys. So I like where we are. I think our best football is in front of us, for sure. I like how we played Saturday. We played a very clean game, especially offensively. We starting with the Troy game. We scored the last 3 possessions against Troy, touchdown, field goal, and then 7 straight to start the South Carolina State game. So really pleased with kind of what I've seen from those guys, and then the consistency of our defense, and same thing in our special teams. So we're just trying to you know, literally just win one day at a time, 1 week at a time, 1 game at a time, and see if we can continue to battle and keep yourself on track to compete for our division. And with that, I'll take your questions.
Coach, when Brent Venables first got here after he faced Georgia Tech the first time, he said, "Thank goodness that's over." Have you ever dealt with another team that inspires that sort of, I guess, frustration? Maybe is the best word for it.
Yeah, I've had a few of them along the way. We played some great, you know, offensive football teams with a lot of firepower and things like that. But again, Georgia Tech is just a whole different animal, you know, because you just don't have a lot of, from a defensive standpoint, you just don't have a lot of carryover. You know, typically when you play week to week, there's some of your base principles that you can carry forward to the next opponent. Same thing offensively. Okay, I mean, you're just trying to get information. Are they a 1 safety team, 2 safety team? Are they a pressure team? Are they a coverage team? Are they a man team? Are they a 3-down team, a 4-down team? So you know, you have all these things, and you kind of have some things that you can carry over from week to week with some game plan adjustments. But when you play Georgia Tech, you know, they're just so different. We just don't see that anywhere else. So it's truly a game and season of its own when you play these guys.
Is it concerning having so many guys on your defense that are young and haven't played at Georgia Tech? How do you prepare those guys to play them for the first time?
Just like we prepare to play anybody, you know, a lot of guys that never played Auburn. So a lot of guys that nobody played Troy, and every opponent we have to prepare, you know, the same. So I mean, just study what they do. I think we've got guys that have played 3 football games now, and I know that again we're starting kind of over, but we work really all year long on Georgia Tech from a defensive standpoint. You know, we take because again they're just so different. When we're practicing in the spring, again when we're installing our base stuff, for the most part, you know, you have things that maybe they're not as good this week as they are another week, but you still have some principles that are going to apply each and every week. Georgia Tech's just very different. So we actually do option period every spring. You know, we call it Georgia Tech period, and because we're going to play them every week. They're a common opponent. We're going to play them every single year, and we have to make sure that we give our guys a good foundation. So we've done that around here for a while from a defensive standpoint, making sure that those guys understand the things that you have to do, you know, from defeating cut blocks and staying on your feet, and because how they play in the offensive line is very different from, you know, what you're going to see with teams that run the zone, run the power, just different. Their stances are different, everything. So we have to teach that, and we don't just wait till this week to try to teach those principles. I don't think that's very smart. I think every football team out there, when you look at your opponents, and especially teams you play every year, and you try to, you know, structure things to where you give yourself a chance to be successful. And we certainly do that with Georgia Tech. Now executing and stopping them is a whole different deal. But we certainly work on it, you know, really all year long to have just a foundation.
Why is it so hard to win at Georgia Tech over the last 5 trips?
Well, we just hadn't played well down there. There's really no magic to it. You know, we were down there a couple of years ago and really got out of the gate playing great, and Sean gets hurt, and next thing you know, we got a couple pick sixes going the other way. And if you score for Georgia Tech, you're in for a long night. I think they only scored 1 touchdown in that game on our defense, I think. But that's just you can't turn the ball over. I mean, you got to win that margin. And I think if you look at the last game, then what was that, in 11, we go down there, and same thing. Had a bunch of turnovers. That night, I mean, we had, there were several. I know we threw a pick down there on the goal line, had a chance right there at the end of the game. Even as bad as we played, we had a chance. And so that's usually the same recipe for defeat there as it is anywhere else. If you lose the turnover battle and give up big plays on special teams, give up big play busts against your defense, you're in for a long day. Field position, et cetera. So it's really, we just hadn't played well. And that was, I guess, in 11, and then 2009 we were down there. And, my man Thomas Alston, who's on the staff now, me and him are going back. I don't think we've been back down there since that Thursday night in 09. So we're going back down there. Hopefully we can get a different result this time than we did that year. But it was a crazy game in 09. Crazy game. But really same thing, just big plays, turnovers, and just not, they outplayed us, they won the game, they were the better team, simple as that, on that day. That's all that matters, is who's the better team that day, and they've been the better team.
Saying that though, you know, you talk about Auburn and all the crazy stuff that happens there, but for you guys at Georgia Tech, even going back to when you were just a wide receivers coach after that 03 game, you guys have been snake bit with something crazy, it seems like every time in those 5 games.
Might need to change our grits up or something, game day, I don't know. I don't get into all that stuff, I mean, I really don't. I mean, I know people like to dramatize, whatever. I mean, you gotta play well, and give them some credit. They beat us. Is that the Irish Spring? Irish Spring guy?
Old Spice.
Irish Spring. Right on point. Old Spice, the Old Spice guy. But listen, they've beaten us, and they've been the better team on that day. Period. The end. And that's all that matters. You know? And we can sit here and talk about it. I mean, I know what happens in the game. I mean, we go down there and again, I don't care who we play. If we lose the turnover margin, you put yourself in jeopardy. You give Georgia Tech extra possessions, you're in for a long night. And they're very well coached, with good players, and a lot of pride in what they do. And when I've been down there, they just flat out beat us. Simple as that. But it ain't got nothing to do with anything other than how we play the game.
Coach, last season you were I think 115th in kickoff coverage. Right now you're sitting at tied for 6th. Other than Hugel just getting consistent better defense or distance on his kicks, what are some of the things to which you attribute that improvement?
Well, just, the guys are doing a great job. We put Ben on there, and Ben has brought a good presence to that team. We spent a lot of time, as we've talked about and documented many times, right spot. But, and then but the big thing, getting a consistent kick too. I think that's a key. Guys are taking a lot of pride in it, and, you know, it's only 3 games, but it's definitely a positive for us. We've been very consistent in that area, and hopefully that'll continue.
Do you know yet when you might get Austin Bryant back?
I don't, you know, he's again, day to day, hopeful for next week, but I have no idea. I mean, it's truly, you know, day to day. I think yesterday he was, they had him kind of starting to do the hoops, you know, running the hoops, pushing the sled, things like that, so it's just a matter of him, you know, feeling like he can go cut it loose like he needs to. But, I mean, he's on the backside of it, I can tell you that. I mean, he can see the finish line, but I can't say this is the exact day. I know we're hopeful, for next week.
Do you like playing Thursday night games? I know you talked about the short prep and that's tough, but do you like being in the spotlight?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think as a competitor, you like opportunities like this, you know, to play and have the national audience. And, I know as a coach, I like to watch the Thursday night games. I've always like that. I think that's kind of neat. It's good for our guys to get a couple days break as well on the back end of it, but it's a challenge. I mean, I don't like the short weeks. I'd rather have, you know, some time before a Thursday night, but, you know, it is what it is. It's the same, you know, for both sides, and that's just the second year. I don't know how many years we've done this, but I've never played a home Thursday. I don't think, or maybe we had one. We had one year?
Yeah.
I think I had one here, one year, but, you know,
So the third time you gotta do it on a short week.
yeah, so this is a harder thing to do, 2 games in 5 days. But you know what? It's fun too. We embrace it. I mean, at the end of the day, we like to play, and so we get to turn right around and go play. So I think that part of it is good. And, you know, it's fortunate. We're fortunate that we're pretty healthy. You know, if you play a game on Saturday and all of a sudden you lose a couple guys, you know, a couple days can make a big difference with a guy being able to bounce back and be able to play the next week or not. So that part of it is a challenge, but I think it's good. We embrace it, and you know, I enjoy it more when we play well. That's what I enjoy. But we look forward to you know, playing in front of the country Thursday night, and hopefully continue to improve.
What did you say to Ray after the punt where he dropped the ball and just his development the last couple of weeks, how he's remained a key part of the punt
Yeah.
return team and as a wide receiver?
Yeah, well, he's just developing into what we knew he could be. Just, you know, these guys have to grow. They got to grow up, and sometimes they got to have some failure along the way to help that process. And I thought last year he had some moments, but just kind of immature. Didn't really understand what it took. I think he felt like it was going to be a little easier than it was, and you know, he didn't really understand how to work like he needed to work. And so, but to his credit, you know, he took coaching, and all the great ones that I've been around, that's usually the key thing. They all respond to coaching, and they all respond to failure. They all respond in understanding what they got to do to get better, and then they put the work in, and that's what he did. I mean, Ray worked his tail off in the offseason, had a great spring, had a great summer. You know, after the play, I just told him, first of all, what a great play, what an awesome run, tremendous. Now, secondly, you're going to be on SportsCenter for the rest of your life because you didn't hand the ball to the ref. How many times I got to tell you to hand the ball to the ref? You know, I had just gotten on it the previous week at Auburn because he caught the punt and he put the ball on the ground. You know, he fair called it and put the ball on the ground. And you know, in the middle of the game, I mean, it's something I always just, you know, coach all these guys. I don't understand. I mean, it's just mind-boggling to me. You know, that's what we teach. Hand the ball to the ref, especially for an up-tempo offense. When we're going tempo, we want to get the ball to the ref as quick as we can so they can set the ball. That's just kind of one of the cool things. But just again, immaturity, not really understanding how little things player of the game offensively in the Troy game. You know, so again, it was maybe his worst game ever, but it was also his best game ever, all on the same day. You see him come back last week and respond, you know, making good decisions. His confidence is really just taking off. So hopefully he can continue to develop and grow and have the success that we know he can have.
Coach, what do you do specifically when you play these games on Thursday, your 2 less days to prepare, like you said, and then does that change your routine moving forward into the next week as well too? You're off on a Saturday and the team's watching games rather than playing. How does it affect you moving into the next week?
Well, it definitely changes our routine for this week. I mean, normally our guys are off on Sundays, we're here, but so it changed our routine as well. So Saturday after the game, that was another thing. We're lucky that it was a noon game, so we had some time. We're all working Saturday night, trying to put that game to bed, get everything ready to get an early start on Sunday. So our staff meeting was earlier, as far as my meeting with the coaches. So everything just is ramped up from a prep standpoint. And then the team came in at 3, and then we're practicing Sunday night. So very different routine, but we planned for that during camp. We know that we're going to be, this week was going to come. We did the same thing for Louisville last year, our first conference game last year, on the road, short week, Thursday night at Louisville. So it's just like Groundhog Day around here for us. So, we do have some experience to draw on, which helps, I think, because we've kind of been through it before, and we say, okay, well, this was good, this wasn't good, and get better. So it's different. And then as far as the weekend, our guys, it's good. They get a couple days. I think it's great for them to have a couple days off, Friday and Saturday, and then, Sunday they get back and they've got their study hall hours that they got to get in Sunday night. But, it'll be a normal week for them. They'll come back in here on Monday just like we normally do and get ready for Louisville. Hopefully they'll take advantage of a little extra time and go ahead and watch the game from Georgia Tech and maybe get ahead prior to their Monday meetings, but that's really on them for the weekend.
What kind of role do you envision for Feaster going forward? We obviously fairly impressed with what he showed against South Carolina State.
He did good. We were pleased with him. He's just still a work in progress. It's just, I think all that depends on, kind of the flow of the game and what happens with how guys are producing, who's hot, who's not. And I think Wayne Gallman is the we really hadn't had to grind Wayne up just yet. He's ready to tote the load. And he certainly was our best player and has earned that. And then those other guys, the same thing. So we're just kind of working in that group, and got to take advantage of his opportunities as they come.
Coach, 25% of the season's out of the way. Outside of the injury list that's been listed, how's the team physically at this point?
We're good. I think we're very fortunate, again, that especially the short week, that we were able to not play some of the guys as much this past week. And for a guy like Carlos Watkins and Christian Wilkins, they played, I think, 12 snaps. That's big. Austin Bryant is obviously not with us right now, but he's trending back. We're kind of through the hump there, and he's on his way back sooner than later. We're going to get him back for the majority of the season. Renfro, that's a big loss for us, but he's going to be back sooner than later. So, from that standpoint, we're in pretty good shape. Baker is getting close. Next week we're going to put him in one-on-ones. He's doing all this cutting and everything, so he needs a couple weeks, I think, of just really some practicing. And we started doing individual last week, and this week, but next week when we get a normal week, we're going to put him into the one-on-ones and maybe a little bit of some of our team stuff. So he's kind of on his way back. So we've been very fortunate at this point it's Adrian. We lost Chandler Reeves, who was a lineman that was going to redshirt, but we lost him in camp with his torn ACL. And then Adrian Dunn the other day. But we've been pretty fortunate just incredible. I mean, I walked off the field, I knew they didn't have a lot, but there's a lot of tackles for loss and things like that that come off of some of the positive plays that they had. But I walked off the field and I remember looking at the stats in the locker room, and I just couldn't. It was impressive. It was impressive. Those guys played. I mean, Shaq and Dodd and all those guys. J-Ron, everybody, TJ. They played lights out in that ball game. Really played. That's one of the best defensive performances that I've been around. I mean, it's hard to describe how hard that is to do, to hold a team down. This is a team that's usually always in the top 5 in rushing in the country. So it was pretty impressive. And I'll sign up for that right now. If there's any way we could do that, but this bunch here is, I think they're much better than we were last year.
You've led the nation in 3 and outs the last few years. Has that been an important part of the success that you've had against Georgia Tech? And how hard is that to do against their offense when they go for it on 4th down so often when it's 4th and short?
Yeah, it's hard. Y'all may remember when we lost to them in the championship game in 2009, our first year. Neither team punted. I don't think I've ever been a part of a game like that. Neither team punted. It was just one of the most frustrating games I've ever been a part of. They couldn't stop us, we couldn't stop them, and we just left a little too much time. And 86 yards there. And that's a tough. That's why you got to win on 1st down. You got to try to do a great job and create some 3rd and long situations. If you get in those, if you let them get rhythm and stay on schedule, and you get them in those 4th and 3s, 4th and 2s, they're going to go for it all day long. Because it's hard. It's hard. It's hard for them not to get 2 yards, 3 yards with what they do. So you've got to dominate the line. If you don't dominate the line of scrimmage, you're in for a long night. That's the 2 things: dominating them at the line of scrimmage, and really just disrupting everything that they're trying to do. And then you have to be incredibly disciplined on the back end with your keys. The calls aren't the same every time, and so if I'm a corner and I got to have my eyes. I can't get distracted by all the stuff. I've got to be. If I'm reading that wing, then that's where my eyes are, and I got to trust my key, because my key is going to tell me what I need to do. And so there's just a lot of discipline that you got to have on the back end with these guys. But I think there's no question. The main reason we've been very, very good around here is we've been a complete team. We haven't just been a good offense. We've been a good defense, a good offense. We've been a complete team. We've made a lot of plays in all 3 phases over the last, 6 years around here, and we've won a lot of games. So we've got a defense that's top 10 in the country, and you've got a chance to be pretty successful because they're getting you the ball back, and you're getting a lot of at-bats. So the 3 and outs are huge because you can't get. I've been on the other side of that. When you're having 3 outs as an offense, you can't ever really get in rhythm. And our defense has been as good as anybody in the country at that. Same thing with tackles for loss. But that all goes back to having great quality players, depth, and development, teaching at the defensive line position, which we certainly had that. And same thing at backer.
Sean was pretty outspoken, I guess, last week about trying to take some of the frustrations of those first 2 games onto himself. What's the trickle-down effect of how he handles adversity through the rest of the locker room? What is that going to say about him as a leader?
Well, I think it says a lot about him, and I think that was just kind of, as I told you the other day, just kind of him being a leader and trying to deflect a little bit some of the things that we need to improve on. But he sets the tempo. He sets for everything around him. He affects everything. And that's why it's important that he doesn't let certain things affect him. And that was kind of my message to him after the Troy game, was because he was frustrated. So was I, because it's like we're just the very basic things we just weren't doing, and then all of a sudden that magnifies everything else. It just magnifies it. good to see us get back on track in that fourth quarter and then carry it into the South Carolina State game.
Anybody got anything else? Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys. See you all in Atlanta.